Welcome, everybody, back to the Friar Talk podcast and YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the Padres, really just their post-All-Star break meltdown, talking about a team that was up, 15, 16, 17 games over 500. And now, when we're recording this is Monday night, they're 500. So a huge collapse. And I'll just go over a couple guys at first to kind of start it off, and then I'll let Chase and Isaac get into what they thought were the biggest factors in this meltdown. But to me, there were a couple guys, then one of them is a guy I really like, but Tommy Pham and Trent Grisham absolutely fell off in the second half. These guys are hitting 230, 240 now. Now Grisham, they both still are getting on base at a decent clip. Tommy Pham still getting on base at a 342 clip. Grisham at a 427. But looking at their slugging, 384 for Pham, 412 for Grisham, right? So they're averaging like a 400 slugging. They need to be doing better than that. Your left fielder and your center fielder have got to be doing better than that, especially considering for Pham, I would say this year his performance defensively, he's been a liability. Now Grisham is really good out there. That's why I have faith in him. I don't think we're going to see Pham back next year, but I think those are the first two guys that I'll highlight. Granted, that we're healthy in the second half, because I think that is a huge factor as well. But in terms of the lineup, those are the two guys that I think that it really hurt it the most. But Chase, what are your biggest factors for this All-Star break meltdown?
There's so many things you can say. The Padres hitting approach at the plate disappeared. They were swinging and missing on everything. People were chasing individual stats instead of playing it as a team. There was the pitching injuries, the pitchers being really inconsistent since the sticky ban. When we did get everyone back, Darvish wasn't himself. Paddock struggled a little bit here and there. Musgrove went through his little struggles. He still kind of hits them every now and again, but still had a really good year. Snell started to do great, got hurt. We had to sign Jake Arrieta. That's a guaranteed loss every time he started. He had, in his 4 starts, I think he had a 10.95 ERA. He almost had an 11 ERA. That is unheard of. Vince Velasquez is just meh. Ryan Weathers fell off. He's very hit and miss in the bullpen. Chris Matt was probably our most consistent pitcher coming out of the bullpen, but even then he'd pitch in hopeless games, throw 5 innings, maybe 1 earned run, or no, I wouldn't say 5 innings, but 3 or 4 innings. The Padres were playing hopeless baseball. It felt like they would go out there. There was no fun on the field. There was no energy. It felt like there was 9 tinglers out on the baseball field, and you couldn't do anything to get them going. They were all just dead. There was no energy, no fun. It seemed like they were already gone and lost and out of playoffs as soon as August was over. When I think maybe at the end of August, we were maybe a game behind. If not, we were still in the 2nd seed, but they were playing like they were already eliminated from playoffs. Tingler didn't do a good job rebounding it. The team's kind of arguing with each other. You have no clue what goes on in the clubhouse. Neither do we. But obviously something went wrong in the clubhouse and Tingler couldn't handle it. And we see that right now. The pitching staff's a mess. The bullpen's a mess. Everybody else, everyone's hitting nothing. They're not walking. They're K-ing. They can't hit with runners in scoring position. We've seen some slumps that have lasted for probably the end of July. And they still haven't gotten any better. The pitching coach is still here. Or not the pitching coach. The hitting coach is still here, which I don't know why. He's basically useless at this point. But, what else could have gone wrong at this point? It's easier to ask what couldn't have gone wrong than what did go wrong.
Yeah, I think the most obvious one's got to be, we're talking about after the All-Star break, it's got to be what happened at the trade deadline. It's that simple. It feels like the team kind of just gave up as soon as we lost out on Max Scherzer and potentially Trey Turner as well. Basically, what I'm going to say is we acquired the wrong guy. Adam Scherzer was not the guy we needed. And if you really wanted a a second. You guys know I don't like Adam Frazier that much.
You said Adam Scherzer.
You
Did
said
I
Adam
really?
Scherzer.
Oh, my bad. Adam Frazier. So obviously you guys know I don't like Adam Frazier that much. But we acquired the wrong guy. Maybe that was just how upset I am that we didn't acquire Scherzer. And the problem I had with it is that in that trade we gave up Tucupita Marcano. I feel like we could have gave him up in the other trade. I feel like we could have gave him up in a Washington trade, gave up Weathers, Marcano, maybe Campusano if you really want to also. And that would have brought you your all-star second baseman or wherever you wanted to put him, short or second. That would have brought you that, plus a guy that now passed the guy that we traded for in hits. And Scherzer's putting up the numbers that we need from a starting pitcher right now. That is going to go down as potentially the greatest trade deadline acquisition maybe ever. Even if they don't win it all, you saw how much it helped the Dodgers. It kind of brought them back to life in a time where, like, in June they didn't do very well. In July they were starting to pick up, and then as soon as that trade happened, they were on. And now they just reached 100 wins yesterday. And meanwhile, we're struggling to hit 500. So you could say it all went wrong at the deadline, but it's weak if the players just thought like we're done. I think that's a weak mentality considering they traded for a bunch of pitchers. They traded for Musgrove. They traded for Snell. They traded for Darvish. They already had Paddock. Like, they had a rotation set. And, injuries, you could definitely say cost this team a lot. We're the most injured team. We're the most injured team in baseball, one of the most injured teams in recent memory. But at the same time, I thought we had the depth to be able to surpass that and to be able to overcome that. So everything went wrong at the trade deadline. And then not very long after, Tatis got hurt. Trent Grisham, Matt, you brought up Trent Grisham. We like Trent Grisham. We really like Trent Grisham. We think he could be a star. But, man, that second half was abysmal. That was honestly some baseball that I never thought I'd see Trent Grisham play. It was that bad. It was so bad. Tommy Pham had a really hot stretch, and that's when the Padres were actually starting to do good. And you could see, when the outfielders were actually producing, this team was pretty damn good. But a lot of things need to be done in the offseason regarding managers. I don't know what's going to happen with Will Myers. If we're going to keep one of Myers or Hosmer, it's got to be Myers. But if something does happen to Myers, those two outfield spots got to be solidified. They got to be taken by two guys that we know are going to be studs and going to help out this team, preferably guys with power. We know Will has power. The power numbers were just down this year. But a lot of things need to be done. The approach, hitting coach, like Chase brought up, a lot of things got to change.
Yeah, Easley's been a topic that a lot of people have brought up lately. One thing that we've also talked about is, I brought this up. I don't think you were in this recording, Chase, but I basically said maybe you don't even fire Easley, but you bring in more pitching coaches or hitting coaches, and then he kind of has a reduced role. Because they have one guy. We've talked about it many times. That's not going to cut it. But I do think that, bringing up Frazier. So I don't know if you know this, Isaac, I have his Padres numbers right here. 264 batting average and a 308 slugging. Lower than his on-base percentage, which was, what was it? I lost it. Sorry, guys. 328. That's terrible. 308? I've never heard a positional player have a slugging that low. I feel like that's ridiculous. Unless it's a guy that's has 30 at bats, it's he's only hit 4 singles, stuff like that. That's ridiculously low. So I think that was a huge point as a team right now, because I feel like this number, you guys are bringing up, Myers only has 17 home runs this year. He's a guy that should have 25. Grisham's numbers are down. Everyone's numbers are down except for 3 guys in the lineup. And the Padres' overall team slugging is 402. That's not going to get it done. I don't know what it was last year, but I bet you it's got to be way higher. I don't know. Do you guys have any idea what it was last year? It's got way higher than 402 though. But man, that is so brutal. I was just looking through these numbers because you look at this team was one of the top or higher teams in on base and slugging last year, and that has just been gone. The approach was gone too. So if you have a terrible approach, you're not hitting bombs, and you're not really walking that much, and you're striking out a ton, and you're not bringing guys in runners in scoring position, and then your entire pitching staff goes down, like that's what happens. You have an epic collapse like this because there's a really bad meltdown in the second half. I will say, I have faith in the Padres moving forward. I really do. Like, I think if they make the appropriate adjustments in the offseason, I think they have some very, very talented players in the minor leagues. Two guys that we're going to see very soon, Robert Hassel and CJ Abrams, are showing like, hey, these guys are the real deal. I think if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you know that we three think that CJ Abrams is going to be an absolute monster. Mackenzie Gore has had a huge second half. And honestly, the minor league system has done really well for the last couple months. It has. Like, there's been a bunch of growth. That's why it's kind of weird that they fired the farm director. Like, yeah, like there's been some questionable stuff, but most of it is like, oh, the guy like looked really good throughout his development in the farm system. Then he got called to the MLB, and then he struggled. Like, it's always in the MLB. If you guys have noticed, it's really odd. Maybe that's still like on the farm and the development staff, but feels like a lot of those like walls get hit right in the MLB, and they don't get. I mean, Chase, you have talked about it before. You don't think guys get enough playing time, and you think that's what hurts a lot. Look at Ha-seong Kim this year. I feel like we all think that he's a better player than the numbers he put up, but like bringing him in and just having him sit on the bench doesn't really do too much. Like you got to play him if you're gonna pay him and he's gonna be like a serious piece on your team. I don't know. That's what I think though. Anything else you guys want to
add? So I looked up that slugging percentage for you. They had a 466 slugging percentage last year. And what would you say it was this year?
402.
Yeah, that's a big difference. And like you said, with the whole Ha-seong Kim thing, I don't remember the exact stats, but I saw a tweet. It was like the Padres were playing. What was it?
It was like 30-17 or something like that. It was
something ridiculous like that. They were 30-17 when Ha-seong Kim was 2 for 3. Or at least had 2 hits. And if you look at that stat, you're just like,
when he was in, just when he was in.
When he had 2 at-bats.
Oh, 2 at-bats.
Yeah, just when he was in.
He just had 2 at-bats. That's crazy to me. And you didn't use him like to the point where he should have been. Like, he should have been playing at least once every 3 games, starting once every 3 games. He should have been the first the bat off the bench, and he wasn't. He disappeared for like a solid month, and we're just like, where's Ha-seong Kim? And then he started playing again. He went 2 for 4 with a home run, and where is he again? Gone.
I gotta add something real quick, just because, dude. The other thing about that, like you brought up, like you just didn't see him for a month. That was right after he started to heat up, and it was like, oh, he's feeling it. Like, he's getting it. He's making the adjustments to the speed of the major league pitching. But go ahead. I just wanted to add that because it was like the perfect timing.
Yeah, it's just things like that. We have guys that go on hot streaks, and they're like, you know what? Dang, we got to play this guy over you just because. Play your hottest hitters. That's how you win the game. You don't continue to play guys, no matter how much money they're making. We saw it with the Orioles. They benched Chris Davis after he went like 0 for 40 with like 37 strikeouts. If a guy is that cold, you don't start him just to start him because you owe him money. You're supposed to put the best product out on the field to give you the best chance of winning. And if Ha-seong Kim does that, you make room for Ha-seong Kim. You put him in the outfield. You put him anywhere in the infield. You give guys days off. You could easily start him 4 days a week by giving each one of the infielders a random day off. And guess what? You're probably better off doing that because it keeps guys even fresher too. So I don't know why, guys were sitting for as long as they did. I get Jake Marisnick because Jake Marisnick is absolutely horrible. But Ha-seong Kim has a chance to be something special, and you paid all this money for him. He has proved that he is worth giving the opportunity to, and they don't do it. It boggles my mind how they develop players. They're like, wow, we really can't develop this guy. Let's trade him. Oh my God, he's balling out with that team. What did that team do differently? Oh my God. It was as simple as giving him more playing time, consistent at-bats, consistent starts, consistent bullpen appearances. All those things matter in development for young players, and the Padres don't do that.
Yeah, I like that you guys brought up Ha-seong Kim. I remember yesterday. I didn't really watch too much yesterday. I didn't really watch too much of this series. Obviously, we know why. But he was the last hitter yesterday, and Will Smith threw possibly the juiciest pitch of the season. Juicy. It was like I was salivating at my mouth just thinking of the thought of hitting that pitch. And Kim whiffed. And here's the thing, though. I was mad at the time, but when you realize that he's only getting like maybe, I don't even know how many at bats a week, dude. Like, I want to say maybe 5, maybe if that. When you realize that, especially coming from where he came from in the KBO, I think it was the KBO. It was the KBO. It's really hard. It's going to be really hard for him to adapt. We put him in situations where it just wasn't. He wasn't set up for success. Now, when you get a guy and you give him continuous playing time to adapt to the major league level, keep in mind he doesn't need any adaptation on the field. He's already a Gold Glove caliber defensive player, and that shows with his defensive run save. He didn't even play that many games, and he was still among the top of the leaders in that category. It was just at the plate where we saw major struggles, and again, it's not completely his fault. The most we can do now is just get him a lot of spring training at bats. And I personally before have said, like, don't buy too much into spring training stats, unless maybe not even a pitcher, but don't buy too much into those, because at that time, like, we saw guys, Jorge Mateo hit like 400 in spring training, and we saw how that worked out for the Padres. With the Orioles, he was good.
I would say, look what happened when he got consistent
with the
playing
Orioles.
time, though.
With the Orioles, he was good. With us, yeah, Chase is right. He didn't get playing time and he wasn't good. But that's the thing. We're just not good at developing guys. Like, I don't know how else to put it. That's where the issues lie with the Padres, is that they rely too much on getting guys outside of the organization. It just doesn't always work out that way. You need to be able to build within, because, team chemistry, all that kind of stuff matters. Like, having the confidence to bring a guy like Mackenzie Gore with that much talent and bring him into the league to be an ace, and then it actually ends up working out because you developed him, like, that helps to get the confidence. Like, yes, we can develop guys. We got a guy that's homegrown. Like, it helps with the fan base. It helps with everything. Like, that's a guy that people want to rally behind. I love Trent Grisham. I think he's great, but I mean, he didn't perform very well this year, and we don't know how he felt in the clubhouse, all that kind of stuff. And Tommy Pham is obviously not good for team chemistry. Like, we saw him almost. I don't know if you guys saw the video. He was trying to fight a fan outside the stadium yesterday, and I don't know how that happened, but like, we saw his reaction to when him and Ha-seong Kim collided. Like, so much was wrong. Oh, there's Miles Sanders, Chase. But so much was wrong with this team, I think, in terms of chemistry, not only with the players, but in the clubhouse with the managers and possibly front office as well. And that's what I mean when you're able to build guys within, like Abrams, Hassel, Gore, Campusano have already been around Tatis, Machado, Cronenworth, those kind of guys. And, them being able to play together and grow together and maybe possibly keep going to the playoffs and going to the World Series together is just – that's just a lot of chemistry being built. It's a lot of trust being built within the organization. You see the Braves right now with Freeman, Albies, Riley, Swanson, Acuna. Those are all theirs. We can't say the same about our team, though.
Yeah, man, it's going to be interesting how they kind of play Ha-seong Kim. I don't know if you guys noticed, he has 60 games started this year, and he has 255 at-bats. If you were to take his 60 games started, 60 games started and multiply that times 4, so let's say he had like 4 at-bats, that's 240 at-bats. So that only leave him 15. Kind of shows he gets subbed out a lot when he starts, and also only 60 starts. He started for like a month when Tatis was out. So he has not seen consistent playing time. So it's tough to get guys going like that. I brought it before, like, he can't be sent down to the minors, but if you're not going to play him, like a guy like him, they should have had a plan to get him on the field, even if it's not in the MLB, because it's still going to be an adjustment if he goes to AAA. So, and I like him. I think he's a valuable piece. Don't get me wrong, but at least to let him play somehow. So that's what I'll comment on that. But overall, this is going to go down as like a historic meltdown for a baseball team. So really frustrating stuff. Can it turn around? Yes. Biggest thing, like Isaac said, is you got to be able to develop these guys. And we're kind of starting to get into our offseason stuff. One thing I would like to see is I'd like to see CJ Abrams have a chance to start in left field next year. I would legitimately like that. Maybe not like immediately, but maybe they wait a little bit, let him have it like a month or two, and then he takes over. I would like to see that a lot. So I don't know. That's something and if he is able to go, then he should be an everyday player. That's what I would say too. Because if he comes in, double A, triple A, and looks fantastic in spring, I think you go for it. Injury definitely hurts though. I feel like that would have been a lot more likely, but still a chance in my opinion. But that's gonna do it for today. Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you.